trying to make some cosplays, and I'm going to go take a class at GCC, and that immensely helped, and I've been kind of got some really good sewing experience from that. So.
I've joined Joyful Studios. I've been cosplaying about 5 years and sewing about 4 to 5 years, and sewing kind of randomly throughout my life. Not too much, like. And I did take a sewing class at Mesa Community College once.
I'm Riz, Mistress Productions. I have been sewing off and on since my mom could put me in front of a sewing machine to help with projects. So, round 4 or 5, she was like, "You're gonna learn." Yeah, so I've been sewing off for 25 years.
I'm also a troll geek. I forgot to say that, but whatever. Alright, so kind of the first thing we wanted to touch on was buying versus making your cosplay, which is kind of weird for a sewing panel, but I feel like we should have touched on it. There are certain things that I feel you should never have to make unless you're wanting to enter a masquerade. And those are like white button-up shirts, because you can find those for $1 at Goodwill.
There are some things that are just honestly easier and more straightforward to just buy. And
Yeah.
they're cheaper that way. And there's no shame in buying part of your cosplay.
Yeah.
Or like random like accessories or like ties or certain things. Like you just buy it because it's just easier.
So kind of like the 3 questions I like to do about something is like, do I have the time to make this? Do I have the skills to make this? And do I have the resources to make this? If it's like, I don't have the skills to make it, do I have the time to learn the skills to make it? Do I want to learn the skills to make it? If you don't have the time, pretty much you probably have to buy it. Like, don't stress yourself out over cosplay, guys. It's a hobby.
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. And do I have the resources to make that? That's kind of like, do I have the money? Do I have like tools? Like, especially with leather, you'll have to have a very strict set of tools when working with leather. If you can get the tools to work with it, and you want to, and you have the time, go ahead and do it. Like,
You have to have a certain foot for it.
Yeah.
All those other stuff.
There's no shame. Some basic sewing terms. I was just gonna go over the ones that, if you guys like any pop out to you that you have no clue what they are, just tell them to me. We have selvage, pressing, turning, wrong side versus right side of fabric, seam allowance, rise, lining, facing, nap, hemming, basting, bias green, backstitch, casing, dart, and muslin. Are there any that pop out, or are they all just new to you guys? 'Cause yeah?
The first word, salvage, it isn't like a salvage word. Can you define that one for me?
Yeah, that one's, it's actually spelled differently depending on country you're in. But it's the little printed edges of the fabric where it will give you like the color code. It's basically kind of like the end of the mold, like both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're supposed to fold your fabric, you're supposed to fold it selvage to selvage over halfway. Unless your pattern says to otherwise, but yeah. That just makes sure your fabric is on grain when you're cutting it. And if you ever cut your fabric off grain,
It won't
it's
look good.
really not fun.
It's frustrating.
It will twist around your body basically when you go to sew it together, because that's how it wants to go with the grain.
Yeah.
That kind of gave definition of grain there too. Any others? Okay. Guess not. Oh yeah.
Nap and 10 base diet.
It's totally fine. Nap is, for lack of a better term, kind of the pattern to the fabric itself. It's like if you have plaid and you're sewing it together, most of the times you'll have to like order extra plaid, and it'll say on the back of your packaging if you need extra for nap. And that's just so when you go to sew it together, it like all the patterns line up on the fabric. Some don't actually have a distinctive pattern like that. They have like a distinctive look to them. I'm thinking like velvet, like it has
velvet.
it has like a certain direction it lays down, and that's also a nap. So it's kind of like just say how the fabric lays when you go to cut it. So like if you have plaids that don't match, it kind of looks weird.
Yeah, if it's like
Yeah. Hemming is basically like finishing the bottoms or sleeves of your garment. There's special techniques for it. A lot of times I just do some hand stitching.
There's a lot of times I'll do a quick hand stitch and hem it.
Yep.
I won't lie.
Or are you lying
I'm running out of time.
Yeah. That's, to do it properly, you basically finish off the raw edge somehow, so your fabric doesn't fray or get all messed up. Turn that over twice and then you hem it somehow. So,
The French seams? Or,
hem.
oh, I meant like you could do, I don't know. French
Yeah.
seams to the-
There's different ways of hemming, but it's,
Yeah, that's
The
true.
easiest way for a lot of us is to just along the raw edge do a zigzag stitch.
yeah,
Yeah.
zigzag stitches are wonderful.
Yes,
Basting is a long stitch that's supposed to be meant to like hold things in place and you can take it out later. It's, if you've ever seen pockets on pants that they're like sewn together, you're like, why is this? It's because when you go to sew pockets, you have to do that so they'll line up properly. Yeah, more you know. But it's supposed to be taken out for the most part. Some of them like to use basting, even like commercial patterns like to use it, even though it's not what they mean. But you can kind of tell depending on like what they're trying to get you to do. So it's, you can also do it with pins if you really want. Just a lot of pins.
Oh, pins, yeah.
And then bias is basically your grain of your fabric is going to go up and down. Bias is basically diagonally across, and it's the most stretchy part of your fabric. So if you ever need something in your fabric that requires a lot of give or stretch, you're going to want to cut across the bias. It's going to require more fabric, but if you can't find a like 2-way or 4-way stretch fabric for what you need, you can use the bias. So, anything else? Words popping out, people? Okay. Works for me. Okay. Well, how to get started, you're gonna need some of the right tools, and this is my opinion. You guys can feel free to disagree or agree. I think the most important tool you're gonna need to start sewing are a sewing machine, an iron, and a good pair of scissors. Like, if you have those 3, you are good. And sewing machines you can get really cheap, like for a sewing machine. Especially in September, because it's National Sewing Month, they're gonna probably have some good deals on them. I know you can get one for $100. That's usually like $300 around this time. And you don't need too fancy of a sewing machine, to be honest. Like, if you have a straight stitch, a zigzag stitch, back stitch, you're pretty much good for most projects. Yeah.
Or button.
I was like, you can do buttons and hold by hand, but it's not fun. Yeah?
So there's no such thing as a machine or a brand machine to be suckish, like maybe, oh, okay, you can go for this brand and this brand, but no matter what, don't go for this kind of brand of machine. It's just gonna wreck you. Is there anything like that?
Brother.
Brother. Yeah, that's what I heard too. Don't buy brother.
Like,
I bought 3 and they all broke within 6
Yeah.
months
I-
of regular usage.
I own a Jerome. Is that how you say
Yeah.
it? Jerome. That's a good brand.
Singer's good, they last for years. Yeah.
I mean, I have a brother, but even by the broke, sewing machines don't really break. You can always get them repaired.
Yes, but the amount of time and money that goes into repairing them, often I could have bought a better machine for in the end.
Yeah. I mean, if you already have one, keep it.
I mean, it was a present. My mom likes to go for not the cheapest and not the most expensive.
Yeah.
That was a brother.
There are some
And-
really good ones. I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm just saying it's a gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 2 machines. One's a brother, and we've had it for 3 years, not a bit of trouble with it. The other one is a sewing machine my mother bought in 1969. It's all mechanical, does all kinds of wonderful things. And it's, over 50 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so, brother can't make good machines.
They definitely can.
It's just, they've got a reputation to them.
Yeah,
I
but the
think
thing is,
I think what you want to do, because it isn't a lower end model.
Yeah.
it depends on the model, honestly.
if you're looking into the lower ends, pretty much just check like Amazon reviews. Like see what people are talking about it, and that's gonna be your best bet. Kind of just do your research before you make any major
Yeah.
buying choices.
Yeah, there's a lot out there thanks to the internet.
Yes.
There are a lot of other people who you can go to for reviews and advice.
Yes, especially the Amazon reviews, because that's what I did when I bought my like sewing machine. Like I looked through and I made sure, and I see the pros and cons to it, and it's kind of nice
Yeah.
to read that.
Second one out here is the iron, which I guess surprises some people, but if
Iron's
you,
your best friend.
yeah, if you want your stuff to look really neat and professional, you're gonna do a lot of pressing. We didn't really go over this, but that's basically you're gonna take your iron and up and down motion, like press on the fabric to get the seams or stitching nice and melded. Because what happens is you're going from very raw material, and most of the time when you buy ready-made stuff, it's already pressed, so it already has that form to it. You're reinforcing the form to your fabric with pressing. It'll make it just look so much better.
And there's different settings, so make sure not to
Yeah.
burn your fabric.
Yeah.
Or melt it. No, that's what melt.
Yeah. don't-
I'll be honest, I've burned a few things,
Yeah.
melted a few things.
Yeah, me too. That happens. And then for scissors, buy a pair of fabric scissors and only use them for fabric. Don't use them for anything else. Fabric scissors are very special in how they're made. Two brands I'd recommend are Fisker and Ginger if you can get them. Ginger's a bit more expensive, but they're nice. I have a pair at my house. Fisker is a bit more budget oriented. All right, have a good time, ladies. That's all. All right. All right. One of the first things you want to do when you get your sewing machine is just kind of look over the user guide. When you do that, you're okay. I don't know what's going on in my memory. What did you guys say about like getting to know your sewing machine?
Take the time to actually look it over.
Yeah.
Look your instructions manual.
Yeah, there's also usually like a troubleshooting guide in the back of the sewing machine manuals, which is very nice when you're getting like an error and you're like, what's going on?
And always make sure you're doing things.
Yeah.
Make sure you have the right bobbin in.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So I have problems with mine all the time. Like, I don't even know if I have the right bobbin in. I feel
Yeah.
like I need to buy the actual.
Certain sewing machines will require like different bobbins.
Yeah.
It's very weird. You'd think they'd be universal, but they're not. So that's why you kind of get to know your sewing machine.
Yeah, because sometimes if you don't have the right bobbin, I think the it'll sew weird. Like,
Yeah. Well, either so weird
or
or
a bunch, yeah, a bunch of stuff.
Some basic tools you're gonna want to go like into a sewing is universal needles. I'd say a single ounce gauge. That's just kind of
Yeah.
glass-headed sewing pins. And the reason you want glass-headed versus like plastic is if you're pressing your fabric, you might melt the plastic. Seam rippers, which will be your best friend, and that's basically if you make a wrong stitch, you get to unstitch it.
And no matter how long you've been doing it, you will probably still make mistakes.
Yeah, because it'll be, you know, like the night before the call, and you're like trying to rush, and then you're like, whoops, I shouldn't have sewn that. Tape measure, that's kind of important for the fact that patterns aren't based on US standard sizes. So you're gonna have to measure yourself before you buy a pattern, and then look on the back of the pattern packages if you're going to buy commercial patterns. Magnets, just because you will drop sewing pins, and I have stepped on so many sewing pins. It's not fun.
You disconnected.
I disconnected the thing. That's problematic. So it's just a good old con. Okay. All-purpose threads. Not all threads are created equal. They do kind of like start to decay, I guess.
Yeah.
They get old Coats and Clark's a pretty good brand, and they're on the lower end too. They have some good universal threads. So.
But if your thread's been sitting around for a long period of time, it will.
Yeah, I had like some thread from when my mom was sewing in like the 90s. I was using it. It was just breaking all the time. Tailor's chalk or fabric marker, you're gonna want that for when you're putting your pattern pieces down. Most pattern pieces include notches or marks to like line up your fabric later. Not everyone does those, but they're extremely helpful, and I would recommend it if you have the time, instead of trying to figure out like, where does this one go? Fray check if you have, like, that's just kind of, if you're worried about something fraying, even if you're finishing off the edges, that will help. It does tend to leave stains though. And safety pins, you'll need those for elastic or temporary holding things. Like I said, before you choose a pattern, you're gonna wanna measure yourself. And one thing about commercial patterns is a lot of them carry like difficulty level with them. Like they'll say, oh, this is easy, it should take you 2 hours, and then it takes you 3. Or middle ground, advanced ones too. I'd say since you guys are just starting out, start with either middle or average. Some of the stuff on the average you can like skirt around. Like one of my pattern pieces for this weekend required like zippers on the legs. I'm like, I don't need those, they're not gonna even show. I'm not going to do those. And don't be afraid to like Frankenstein patterns, and what that means is if you're like, well, this one has the right neckline and the right body, but it doesn't have the right sleeves, you can take another pattern that has like the right sleeves. It'll take you longer, it might be a little bit frustrating, but it's doable, actually. I'd say hold off on the sleeves, those are hard. If one has the right neckline or something and the other doesn't, necklines are easy to fix, so.
I think sleeves are relatively easy, but that's me.
Yeah. I don't, well, it depends on how you make the sleeve too.
It's true.
I don't like connecting circles to circles.
Oh, those are a pain.
And watch out for pattern sales, because Joann's has a lot of them.
Yeah.
And you
They're
just like
amazing.
stock up on them, because it's like, oh, 10 patterns for $5. Oh yeah.
I'm so fortunate to work at a mall where there's a Joann's.
Mhm.
And every time the sale goes on, I'm just like, I lied to my supervisor. I was like, I need to go check out Joann's on something. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. They'll probably have a lot this month because September is
Oh,
National
yeah.
Sewing Month. Yay!
I actually work at Joanne, so it's really it's a great place to work at, but it does suck your money away. It's like fabric, must buy fabric.
Yeah. Choosing your fabric. One of the first things I'd recommend is if you already have a pattern, they will include recommended fabrics on the back. That's your safest bet for getting the pattern how the pattern makers like envisioned it. Otherwise, if you have something that's closer to like what you're going for, go with what you're closer to going for. You can kind of get away with it. There are fabrics that can be used in exchange for other more expensive ones. Leather instead of leather if you get the nicer stuff. If you're going with pleather, I'd say go with upholstery pleather. You can get it on sale and it just looks nicer than a lot of the costume pleather. It is thicker, so there's like give and take. Yes?
Don't you need a specific needle for colors or stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. You can cheat with that.
Okay.
One way to do that is if you put a piece of Scotch tape on the bottom of your presser foot and it won't stick.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I said, you can cheat with it.
but heavy duty needle.
Yeah, a heavy duty needle is a good choice. Like certain pleathers, it's not as big of a deal because they can be thinner.
Yeah.
Flannel can be used instead of wool, which they look pretty much the same. Yeah, they can look the same. You can like brush out the flannel too to make it look more like wool. There's others out there that I'm just not thinking of. Yeah, and the fabric recommendations are usually based on how the pattern was designed, like if it was flat patterned or draped. And what that means is drapes basically hanging the fabric like over a mannequin and using that like how it contours naturally to make it. So a lot of drape-based patterns will include more flowy ones like that are lighter, generally speaking, like chiffon, organza, there's a lot of knit stuff.
Knits.
Yeah. a lot of it. And one of the first things I'd suggest before you even like start cutting out your fabric or whatever, or patterns I should say, is to test your fabric to see if it is off grain. And how you do that is you snip a corner of like the fabric vertically to the selvage, and then you can rip it. If it rips straight, your fabric is on grain, and that is wonderful. If it doesn't rip straight, your fabric is is off grain, and you have to buy different fabric because it is very frustrating, and you will cry. It's happened to me with like pleather, and I just wanted to, cry. And test for stretch. You can do that in the stores, just like see if it has any. And finally, I'd say always buy about 1.5 yards more than you will think you'll need. Oh, half a yard. I literally just woke up and you guys are making me talk the most.
I'm the one in control of the machine over there.
Oh, okay, I'll change it this way. How about that? Yeah. Just buy a half a yard more than you will think you'll need, because you'll probably either make a mistake or you might accidentally cut your fabric where you shouldn't cut your fabric. You can kind of patch it up a little bit, or you just might need more.
I always buy
Yeah.
I always wear extra too.
It's just a safety net. Okay. Where to buy fabric? I took that photo of your car, by the way, and I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, SAS is a wonderful store. Their fabric is very cheap. They do not always label their fabric, however.
No, it takes a while. If you go in there, you're gonna want to set aside a good chunk of time.
Yeah. And it can be a little bit of a trip. I hear the Phoenix one's better than the Tempe from people.
It is.
So, I mean, if you're closer to the Tempe SAS, go to that one.
I think the Tempe one has a lot of more buttons, or am I wrong? I don't know.
It has more.
It has more, yeah.
Okay.
So if you're looking for buttons, go to the Tempe one.
Yeah. Joann's, that's kind of standard. They're expensive on their fabric at times though, and they shouldn't be.
Take a look, or just keep your eye out for coupons.
Yeah.
Sometimes coupons.
That's pretty much if you're going
Especially
to.
around now, because Halloween is like around the corner, so they'll definitely have
Yeah.
coupons.
You can get some at Hobby Lobby. They're kind of hit or miss. They have some good stuff. It's cheaper than Joann's, but you're also supporting Hobby Lobby. So if you have concerns about supporting Hobby Lobby, just don't go there. Fabric.com's beautiful.
It is wonderful.
If you have the time, you can order swatches from them first to see if you like the fabric, and they're generally cheap, like 25 cents to $1.25, I'd say. And so you can now order like a bunch of different fabrics, see which ones you like the best, and then you can order later. That's just, you're gonna want time if you're ordering from anywhere online, because they do take a while to get here. Amazon and eBay are the same way. There are some really good places on eBay to get laces. Like, holy crap. Yeah. Tandy leather. I love Tandy leather. If you are going to buy Tandy or leather or hardware, so buckles, like buckles, go to Tandy leather.
Or Tempe sales.
Or Tempe sales, yeah. But Joann's has really just a very limited selection on hardware pieces, which are basically anything metal.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was up there.
Yeah, it's impossible to find.
I know Tandy Leather has.
Yeah.
If I can ask, I mean, I don't really use Hobby Lobby, but why are you against it? Like, first, like, just.
They've like, there's
Oh.
it's like there's,
Oh, okay, yeah.
they're a Christian-run organization,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and they've had some like decision-making, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know if like it was like there's production of scrap or something like that.
No, they have some good stuff. It's just like if you have ethical issues.
Yeah, yeah, I totally.
I'm not
It's
recommending.
yours.
Yeah. You can get some stuff at Goodwill too.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can find
yeah.
some surprising things at Goodwill.
Like I've gotten patterns at Goodwill before too. Spandex World if you're going for spandex, because like it's impossible to find good spandex from anywhere else, I'd say. And they have like so many options. Fabric Worms is a recent one I found. They're pretty nice. Like they have really good customer service. There are other online stores you can look to. I just say just check them out with previous people who.
Yeah, reviews.
I would
reviews.
recommend Mood.
Mood. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, Mood, I forgot about
Mood
that.
is amazing, and they're a little bit more expensive, but their swatches,
Yeah.
they also do swatching and whatnot, so.
What was the name again?
Mood fabrics.
Mood fabrics.
They're
Yeah, Project Runaway.
Thank you, Mood. Yeah. And always pre-treat your fabric.
Yes. Yes.
I've been to panels where they don't say this, and I'm just like, but.
It's such an important step.
And this is why, because if you don't like pre-wash your fabric or pre-treat it how you normally wear, especially if it's cotton, you wash it out of the cotton, it shrinks on you, and you no longer have a costume. And you want to cry, because there goes all your work. So, if all else, take away pre-treat your fabric.
And sometimes even if part of it shrinks and it works, if it's lined,
Yeah.
it shrinks differently.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
I've had that.
however you're gonna wash your fabric normally, pre-treat it. Like obviously, some fabrics you can't wash,
Yeah.
but those are kind of obvious. But especially cottons, pre-treat your
Yes.
cottons.
Especially in Arizona, because I know a lot of people use cotton for
Yeah.
their cosplay.
And then interfacing. You want to talk about this?
Interfacing is fantastic. A lot of people gloss over it and they don't really mention it in panels, and it makes me sad. Interfacing, if you want your collars to be stiff, if you have bodice pieces or front closures on.
Or pleats.
Anything,
Yeah, please.
anything that you want to look crisp, interfacing.
Mhm.
Yeah. You can also use it if you mess up and cut a hole in your fabric. You put a piece of interfacing on the back, and it looks good as new.
And yes.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
And there's two types of interfacing. One's woven, one's non-woven. Actually, we'll say there's 4 types. There's woven versus non-woven,
Then there's
and then there's sewing versus fusible. Fusible will work for most things. It's some things it won't, and the way you sew is just you'll stitch around it, like you'll pin them together and stitch it, and it works.
In
Yeah.
answer to your question, interfacing is a secondary material that you put on the back of your primary fabric that reinforces it. It makes it stiffer. You can either sew it to your fabric or you can iron it to it. That's what
Yeah.
fusible is you damp iron it and it actually fuses with the fabric itself.
There's different thicknesses. Sometimes they're like really thick, and you can use it for like
Yeah.
all sorts of things.
I'd say test your interfacing
Mhm.
first with your fabric.
Yeah.
That's also why you want to buy some extra. See which one you like the best. And interfacing is generally really cheap too, so. Some other notes. Yeah. You can buy it in packs versus by the yard, but I've never bought it in a pack ever. I just feel like it's cheaper for by the yard if you know how much you need.
What's the woven one? I haven't tried out the woven.
Woven's just like a difference of how the glue is.
So it's okay. Like I always pick the other one.
Yeah,
Or
the non-woven has like dots of blue, whereas this one crosswise.
Yeah.
If you have sheer fabrics, which interfacing would show, you can attach fine fabrics like by sewing. You can use organza, that's pretty good for sheer fabrics. And if you don't want the seams bulking up, cut your interfacing like away from the seam lines so the stitching won't get the interfacing too. Because bulky seams are not fun. Most stuff though, you won't have to do that for. How to cut your Yeah, no. I guess we'll just go with that. What do you guys say for how cutting your fabric?
Like pinning.
Yeah.
Like make sure to pin your fabric so it's like.
One of the things we both do is we'll cut it on the our fabric on the carpet because you can pinch the carpet.
Yeah, it stays in place.
Yeah. Instead of like doing how you're supposed to do it if you're working on a table, which is pin them like through the fabric and up. It's just nicer to pin it straight down.
It's easier when you're in a rush and you're like, okay, or if you're gonna have to walk away from it, and you don't want to, if you have pets and you don't want them moving things.
Yeah.
Having it just pinned into the carpet's easier.
Yeah.
Of course, they also get footprints all over it, so.
There is that.
Yeah.
There is that, but
I don't know, I just, I got used to it, and it's just nicer to me. Also, when you go to cut your fabric, you're gonna wanna hold your scissors like, what is it, level to the fabric?
you want your blades up.
Yeah, you want your blades level to the fabric. You don't wanna like hold them up here, because that's not gonna get you as smooth lines. And you don't wanna do a lot of little snaps, you want long and even strokes for cutting fabric, and it will look nicer. And go slower, I'd say, on curves, generally speaking. If you're sewing things, just go slower on curves. Some basic stitches, I don't know why this got over here, but I'd say if you have a sewing machine, straight stitch and zigzag stitch are like the top two stitches you will ever use. They're kind of self-explanatory as how they work. I just brought these ones because I figured it's easier to look at them and kind of get the explanation. For hand stitching, running stitches, or I'd say like whip stitches. I feel like those are your two most used ones. And whip stitching is up there, but it's kind of the hemming stitch that you see where you go up and down. Do you guys know any notes on basic stitches? Yeah. Okay.
Well, for if you're working on something that you have to put in slip stitching and master it.
Yeah.
It is your best friend.
No slip stitching. Hardware / notions. Usually on the back of commercial patterns, they'll say like what notions you need, and those are any sort of accessories that you need to finish the final product. Hardware is more like the metal bits, I'd say. Like, oh shoot. Yeah, okay. You can get buckles at Goodwill too. I forgot to mention that. Like, if you're not needing like multiple of the same buckles, if you're not doing like anything by Square Enix, you can just go to Goodwill and buy like a belt for $1, and there's your buckle.
You can be your friend.
Yeah.
That's some really interesting buckles.
You really can. You just gotta cut them. SAS is pretty much everything else for some cheap prices. Like, I've gotten a lot of buttons at SAS. eBay's also great if you can wait. A lot of times they'll have like lot prices, and you're like, I need some zippers. Oh look, here's a bunch of zippers for like really cheap. Yeah, and you can get away with it, but I'd say if you are sewing in those zippers, get a zipper pressing foot. There's ways around it, but it's easier.
It's much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you have one that's too long, you can actually cut and stitch a zipper, where you like sew across like the zipper, like where you want it to end, if that makes sense. You'll do like a couple back stitches, and then you'll cut it below that. So if you have like one that's too long, then you can have your right size zipper. Measure it out first though, obviously. Yeah, I don't know why those next was around. Say for your fabric, it might change how you work with it. Is pretty much what you're gonna wanna look into. Leather requires some very special tools to work with. I know a leather maker, and he has like a whole toolbox full of stuff just for leather. Yeah, it is huge. But the nice thing about leather, vinyl, and pleather is you can leave the raw edges.
And don't use needles and leather.
Yeah.
Like pinning it. Make sure to use.
Oh yeah, clothespins.
Clothespins.
Yeah, that's one thing
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I think I put that
Yeah, because
somewhere.
if you put holes in leather,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to.
Anything
Yeah,
that will
that
show
bad.
holes, you use clothespins, and you can get those from. They're in the kids' craft section at Joann's. Like I had to ask around, and apparently they were surprised people would use those for materials. But okay. I'd say for knits, either use a ballpoint needle or use a zigzag stitch. You can also get away with a twin needle, but if you have a twin needle, like those are nice. Spandex behaves like a knit on like just a nightmare knit. We'll say that. You're gonna have to get a stretch needle for that, and if you're working with spandex, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then like, can you like put like not? I don't think it's spandex, but for any knit fabrics, you can put like fabric in between,
Yeah.
and then you can sew over it so it's stiffer.
Yeah.
Like not I don't know, like cotton fabric.
Yeah. It's
Like-
just zigzag knit stretch. So
Yeah.
you're gonna want to stitch that stretch with it. Velvet and Velour were fray.
Yeah.
Velvet phrase, like.
Mhm.
Yeah. So those ones you definitely want to like make sure you finish off all your edges with. You will find fabric everywhere though. And I just say, depending on what you're doing, specialty fabric or foots might be needed for sewing. If you're gonna make like a petticoat or something, I'd say invest in a ruffle foot. Yeah. Like these foots, they're more expensive. You can get away with not having them. It just takes a lot more time and energy. Some different seams. When you're sewing, you're gonna want to trim down your seam allowances, cut down on bolt, and clip any corners to cut down on bolt. It'll also help give your projects like the proper shape. The different types of seams we have are flat felled seams, French seams, zigzag seams, pinked edges, which are easiest, but you can't use them for every single fabric. So I'd say zigzag stitch. And what those mean are basically you'll stitch your seam, and then on the edges you'll get pinking shears, cut the edges of the fabric.
Make sure you
Zigzag
cut
stitch,
straight.
yeah, cut straight.
Because you cut. I've
Yeah.
done that before where I use pinking shears and the next minute wavy. I'm like, oops.
Zigzag stitch is used to add like a zigzag stitch to the end of the raw edge, there we go. And that will keep it from fraying. Overlock seams, you can do, there is a setting on most sewing machines that imitates an overlock, and that's also known as a serger. I have a serger. Sergers are nice in that they cut your fabric and sew at the same time. Yay. They're expensive though. I just lucked out. eBay. Some basic tailoring and techniques. You guys want to go over this because I'm like, I need that. There's gallery.
Gathering, sewing, gores, pleating, piping and trims, and making your own bias tape, welt pockets, underlining, and appliques and satin stitch.
Is there any one in particular you guys want to go over? How about that? Since there's a lot. Like any that sound interesting.
Gores is
Gore is when poofy sleeves is what I can only think of every time. It's like a triangle shape of fabric that you'll put like in between the fabric to either add more body. You can also use them to, if your garments are too tight, you can add length.
You can also add them, if they're triangle or diamond shaped piece
Yeah.
underneath your sleeve to allow for room for
Yeah.
movement.
They're an extra piece of fabric you'll just add to like either help with the shape, or if your garment doesn't fit anymore in certain areas, you can use that. Like if it's too tight on the bust but not like below the bust, you can add gores to the side. Yeah. Anything else?
piping and trims, I believe it's the word.
Yeah, piping. How would you explain?
Oh, piping is like it's like rope kind of, and then you put fabric on it, and then it's like round kind of.
You'll see it in
Like
pajamas
trims.
a lot.
You can make your own pipe.
Or a lot of jackets for a lot of
Yeah.
costumes will use piping to
Yeah, it's
accentuate.
round. It's kind of a
Like the
round
lines.
shape.
It's when you see like usually contrasting colors like in between like seams. There's like this kind of round shape to it.
Sometimes you see a lot of piping and drapes and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and pillows.
Yeah.
It's like round. It goes around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trims are kind of anything you'll add to the edges. I'm thinking jackets again, where they'll have like contrasting like a trim to it, like on the lapels.
I really like applique and satin stitch. It's fun.
Yeah. A satin stitch is just like a very, very tight zigzag stitch to where there's like no gaps in between the zigzags. And you'll use those for appliques, which are other pieces of fabric you'll basically sew on top of your fabric of choice. Like think patches.
Patches or anything like that, or like designs, and you can
Yeah.
iron it on. You can buy some iron-on stuff,
Yeah.
and you can first iron it on. Because I've done it before without the iron on. It doesn't really.
Yeah. I had to do that with one
Afterwards,
thing.
yeah.
I couldn't iron it on, so.
And it makes it easier when it's ironed on because it's stiff. It's almost like interfacing,
Yeah.
like it stiffens it up, so it's easier to go around. Like if you're doing circles or curves and all that.
Yeah. Underlining, I feel like a lot of people talk about it and say it's hard. I find it pretty easy. Maybe that's just me. Okay. You just don't sew the shoulders to the neck. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Some additional resources. Howtosew.com if you need to look up things. Like, that's got some really good tutorials. There's also YouTube tutorials. The issue with those is sometimes I feel like the people who do them don't know what they're doing.
My problem is that even if it has to do with how they explain it. They
Yeah.
might not actually talk you through what they're doing. They're just like, oh, you just do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And you might not know exactly what they're talking about. And then you have to go further into doing more research.
There's a book called Classic Tailoring for Techniques for Menswear. If you're going to be making a lot of menswear, I suggest investing in that book. It's a bit more expensive, but it will give you a lot of techniques that you need. Otherwise, the Reader's Digest New Complete Guide to Sewing, that will walk you through so much stuff. And I have it, but I left it up in my room. I was going to show it off. That has a lot of terms. It'll also help you, like, if you have certain fabric, it will give you, like, what some good products are with it. It's a really nice book. MakeItLoveIt.com also has some really good tutorials. They explain things out. Same with About.com. Two other options is you can attend classes. Joann's has some classes.
It is.
They're hit or miss from what I
Yeah.
understand, because
They focus on specific things,
Yeah.
whereas if you take a class at a community college,
yeah.
they go over everything.
Yeah.
I'd recommend community college.
If you can afford it, do a community like college basic sewing skills class, because they will teach you like everything, not just how to make, like a pillowcase or a pair of pajamas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes their classes are just once a week, so it's like a little bit easier to attend, but they're
Yeah.
about 3 hours long.
Yeah. So it's, like, I learned so much from taking a basic sewing skills class, and yeah. So Q&A, and we're just gonna open this to you guys. If you have any questions over sewing that you want answered, we'll be glad to answer them now.
Do you have like a Tumblr or anything where you have like, or anything like this, or is this just?
I have the Tumblr and I have like the Facebook, but like I don't put tutorials up.
Okay.
There are Tumblr,
Yeah.
like.
I
think it's-
recommend.
I think it's like, I forgot, I think it's cosplay tutorial.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it's called. You just look up cosplay tutorial.
Yeah. And one I'd recommend, because they do answer a lot of questions, is Ikasu.
Oh,
Yeah. They were local cosplayers, now they're in
Yeah.
California.
Is it eye costume?
Ikasu, AICOSU. Yeah. They've answered a lot of like questions regarding cosplay stuff, so you might be able to send them a message.
I'm really sorry. One more time. Spell that.
AICOSU.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah, they're just really great with answering people's questions. So, any other questions? Yes.
If you've never done like an outfit or like clothing before, what would you suggest would be a beginner project?
Oh, yeah.
Pajama pants.
Pajama pants are a really good start.
They're a really good start to get you comfortable with sewing. They're pretty simple, and a lot of pajama pants, like their pattern, like tutorial, like instructions, are pretty straightforward too. Like they're not really confusing.
Or like shirts without sleeves.
Yeah,
Like
the
those-
sleeveless shirts are nice too.
Yeah,
so.
those shirts that like go, they're like really nice and baggy.
Baggy
Yeah, baggy
shirts.
sleeves, they're like kind of here. Yeah.
Vests are good too, if you want to try something.
Yeah, best. Yeah.
And best will help you practice tailoring.
Yeah.
Mhm, yes.
Yes. Any questions over sewing, we'll be glad to answer them. Otherwise, we'll just talk stuff, I guess.
So,
Oh, it's actually 2 o'clock, so.
yeah.
All right.